Hi everyone, my name is KaiaMcColgan and today I'll be presenting my final project, Personality and Negotiation, Insights and Growth. Over this past semester, I've learned a lot about myself, my negotiation tendencies, and how my personality shapes conflict management. Today, I'll be walking you through what I discovered and how it will guide me moving forward. So to start, a little bit about me. I thrive on routine, structure, and staying active. I grew up playing and coaching ringette, and I currently play on the University of Guelph ringette team. I love working with people, building relationships, and presenting. This all fits with how I naturally communicate in negotiations. I've also worked as a camp counselor leading week-long canoe trips and as a summer merchandising representative with Encore. These experiences have shown me the importance of teamwork, communication, and staying calm under pressure. Before this course, I honestly approached negotiation with avoidance. Conflict felt uncomfortable, and I often chose not to initiate difficult conversations, even when I should have. I saw negotiation as stressful and confrontational. But over the semester, I've completely shifted. I now understand negotiation as a conversation and not a battle. I've built confidence, learned strategies that actually work, and gained the tools to handle difficult conversations with clarity and empathy. This growth has been both academic and deeply personal. So now I'll be moving on to the overview of assessments and reflection. Throughout this course, I've completed 4 personality assessments and 4 personal reflections. These included the zero-sum mindset scale, the Big 5 personality test, the self-reported emotional intelligence test, and the political skills inventory. Together, these tools created a clear picture of who I am in negotiation and highlighted patterns that kept showing up across all experiences. So to start us off, I'll look at the zero-sum beliefs. Here, I scored an 18, which is relatively low. This means I naturally see social interactions as collaborative and not competitive. I tend to believe there's room for everyone to win. A perfect example happened during a week-long canoe trip I led. My co-leader wasn't contributing much, and I initially felt like this was unfair. Instead of assuming her lack of effort meant more work for me, I approached her, started a constructive conversation, and suggested a better distribution of tasks. This improved the trip and our teamwork. This example shows my integrative negotiation style, focused on shared outcomes. But it also shows where I need to grow, becoming more assertive in situations where resources are limited, like salary negotiation. The second test we'll be looking at is Big 5 personality traits. Here, I scored high in extroversion, agreeableness, and conscientiousness, whereas I scored lower in neuroticism and moderate in openness. This means I'm sociable, supportive, reliable, and remain calm under pressure, traits that really help with conflict resolution. For example, on another canoe trip, when my group faced strong headwinds and the morale of the group dropped, I stayed calm and worked with my co-leaders to adjust our route. This helped the kids feel reassured and kept the group on track. Another example is from my job as a merchandising representative. Sometimes store managers pushed back on display space. Instead of reacting defensively, I used relationship building, friendliness, and organization to negotiate compromises that worked for both sides. These traits help me be a collaborative negotiator, but they also can make me hesitant to assert myself when needed. The third test we'll be looking at is the emotional intelligence test. Here, I scored an 128, which is moderately high. This means I have strong emotional awareness, empathy, and self-regulation. One experience that reflected this was during a group project where a certain group member repeatedly missed deadlines. I was stressed, but instead of confronting them in frustration, I approached them with empathy and asked if everything was okay. This led to an honest conversation, a plan that worked for everyone, and ultimately a strong group dynamic. Emotional intelligence helps me stay calm, build trust, and navigate tense conversations. Skills I'll continue to strengthen throughout emotional regulation, active listening, and reading nonverbal cues. So the fourth and final test we'll be looking at today is the political skills inventory. My scores placed me in the high range, especially in interpersonal influence and social astitutionness. I applied these skills during the Great Ethical Dilemma case competition in MGMT 1000. Tension built in our group when we struggled to agree on an ethical solution. I noticed people withdrawing, so I met with teammates individually to understand their perspectives. Then I facilitated a group discussion that reframed the problem around shared values like responsibility and sustainability. This shifted our dynamic from conflict to collaboration and helped us deliver a really strong final presentation. It showed me how important ethical persuasion and inclusive dialogue are in negotiation. Now, tying it all back together and looking at consistent patterns, across all 4 assessments, the same patterns appeared. I'm naturally collaborative and relationship-oriented. I remain calm under pressure. I influence others through empathy and emotional intelligence. One of my big areas for growth is being able to balance collaboration with assertiveness, especially in situations where I need to advocate strongly for myself. Recognizing these patterns will help me understand why I negotiate the way I do and how I can improve. So moving forward to enhancing traits and overcoming obstacles. Many of my personality traits enhance my negotiation style, such as my empathy, adaptability, active listening, and conscientiousness help me build trust quickly. But traits like overcompromising and avoiding confrontation can create obstacles. To grow, I'm focusing on developing assertiveness, setting boundaries, expressing my needs clearly, and staying firm when situations are more distributive. So moving forward, when I prepare for negotiations, preparation will be essential. This includes identifying both sides' interests, knowing my goals and limits, and developing a strong BATNA. Because I'm naturally conscientious, preparation aligns well with my personality. I also plan to prepare emotionally by pausing before responding, reframing my thoughts, and staying composed. This makes me better equipped to balance both integrative and distributive negotiation. So now, moving on to bargaining and conflict dynamics. My default bargaining approach is integrative, seeking solutions where everyone benefits. But I now understand that some situations require assertive, distributive strategies. My emotional intelligence and political skills help me persuade ethically, reframe issues, and manage group dynamics. These tools will help me stay collaborative while standing my ground when necessary. So now looking at lessons for my future self. The biggest message I want my future self to remember is this: negotiation is not a battle, it is a conversation. Before entering any negotiation, I will remind myself to stay calm, prepare thoroughly, and balance empathy with assertiveness. These strategies will help me navigate and negotiate with confidence and integrity. Now, applying these to the workplace. These skills I've learned will support me in salary negotiation, workload conversations, and team building conversations. For example, in university group projects where not everyone always contributes, I now feel confident initiating conversation that are empathetic but clear and that move the group forward. These abilities will transfer directly into any future professional role. Now looking at kind of any everyday application. So outside of work, these skills apply to family, friendships, and community involvement. Whether navigating disagreements or organizing group projects, I can use conflict management strategies to support healthy relationships and positive outcomes. So finally, overall, my view of negotiation has transformed from fear and avoidance to confidence and strategic engagement. I now embrace difficult conversations and see them as opportunities for growth. Thank you so much again for listening.